Welcome back to another video. Today we are removing a 3.0 3VZ engine out of this 1994 5-speed X-Cab. This video here, please use it as a guide only or for entertainment purpose. It's going to be a little bit long. I'm not going to cut too much stuff out of this video because I want to show you guys how I do it. Now, regardless of what you're doing, if you're doing a 3/4 swap or if you are needing to remove the 3.0 engines to put another 3.0 engines, the way I'm doing it is I'm going to be destroying some things that is no longer needed for a 3/4 swap. So take that into consideration. So if you aren't doing a 3/4 swap, you might not want to destroy things like how I am. Like for example, I'm going to cut the engine harness, the fuel line, I'm going to cut it in half instead of unscrewing it, and some hoses here and there, we're not going to take the time to take them out. We're just gonna cut it up. So enjoy the video. This is a 3/4 engine or 3.0 removal for a 3.4 drop-in. Enjoy. I'm not gonna go over what tool you need, but I'll talk as I go from there. Remove your skid plate, drain your coolant, drain your oil. I haven't drained the oil yet, but I'll do that later. But coolant's already been drained, and then we'll go from there. Enjoy. I like to have the little bucket with all my tools that I'm most likely going to use: 10, 12, 14, ratchet wrench, extensions, stuff like that. When you're killing a Toyota, this is one of the fastest way to kill one. Impact driver. So let's go ahead and get it. You don't have to do anything any particular way or any particular order, but just start removing things out of here. So for example, I'm going to remove the coolant bottle and the whole air intake housing because we don't need any of that stuff. Make room for other room. You do want to keep this piece here. We don't need this because we're going to be using a new coolant bottle from Toy Only Swap. So this just comes out like that. I do like to put the bolts back in because you do use the bolt. There's a little shield right here that comes out, and there's one right down over there. We'll get that in a bit. Igniter can come out. I'll talk as we go, but if I don't talk, just kind of observe because I don't want to keep moving the camera around. I don't want to move the camera and show you guys different angles because I'm not on a time crunch, but when I'm doing this stuff, I want to keep going. So right now I'm removing the igniter, unplugging it. This is one of my favorite tools that I recently picked up, Kinetics. I like to keep this with me all the time now. So handy. Look how easy it is to remove things. So you have your igniter, and these are all good parts still, guys, so you can use it for backups. The igniter is set with 210. Just like that. I will put the bolts back in there. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the cruise control. We don't need that anymore. Undo the intake box. Intake box needs to come out. Oh, so much stuff. Intake box, cruise control cable right here. Take that out. There's a 10 mil right here. All of these parts will not be going to the trash. They're going to be donated to somebody else that does 3.0 stuff. I just don't want to deal with 3.0 life no more. Cruise control has a few connector plugs. Just go ahead and unplug it. Nothing crazy. There's two plugs right here, and when I do the 3/4 swap, I'm not going to be installing the cruise control. So you can honestly do whatever you want with it. These vacuum hoses, they all come out. last owner, they installed some kind of heater plug or block heater, so they have a big old extension cord in here. Just go ahead and remove that. Yeah, it's a block heater or something, but just gonna cut that out of here and get that out of here. It's a block heater for something. So we got the cruise control out. There's one more plug down there. There's 3 electrical plugs, 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. So cruise control module is now out of here. Don't need that anymore. I'm gonna put these bolts back in there into the fender wheels because we will use them later just to tie down things and stuff like that. So it's good to have. The electrical plugs that went into the cruise control, they kind of just hang out over here. You don't have to do nothing to them. Later on, we're gonna go ahead and just tape them up. There's a little ground right here. I'm gonna do that. We don't need that anymore. All right, so we have that. Oh, this is a little nice extension. So this is what he had in there. This is like a little 2-foot extension. I'm gonna keep this for future uses. Let's go ahead and get the air box out. We got 12 millimeter for those. Before we get the air box, I'm gonna go ahead and undo this MAF connector. I can cut it if I want to, but I don't want to cut it yet because I don't want to. So on the MAF, there's a little spring. You just have to pop the springs out, just like that. So 12 mil for the box. One right there, one down here, and one's hidden way over here. So that will get you the box out. So the box is out of here, and then there's a 10 mil holding in this little intake box cover. This piece here, don't need that no more. It's a bit dusty in here. We're gonna be using the toy only swap battery tray over here. You have 2 hoses right here. Go ahead and just get rid of them. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut them up because I don't need them. These are for your outer arm and stuff like that. So cut that open, and now you have your ear box. Throw that away. I still have a little plug here. This is a block heater hose or something. Cut that apart. You have your alternator plug and the alternator plug right here. Do not cut this wire here. You will be reusing this. There's a little ground wire right here like this. You don't need that anymore. But the wire that goes from the fender well to your alternator and the electrical plug, keep that. Don't cut it. So we'll go ahead and undo the alternator plug. To keep that piece, 10 millimeter. This will bolt right into a 3/4 alternator unless you have the circle plug. If you have the circle plug, then you need to convert it to the oval plug. This is a 94, so it has the oval plug. So we don't need to do nothing to that. Here goes the rest of the intake box. That's pretty much everything on the exhaust on the passenger side, besides the exhaust stuff right here. We'll go ahead and remove the heater hoses. All the heater hose, we're gonna go ahead and just remove all of it because we don't need it no more. We're gonna put new heater hose setup, and then all the vacuum lines that went to that little cruise control, just go ahead and remove them. I like to keep the hose though because they're good for spares. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Good, good, good. Brake booster, this comes out because we'll be rerouting the brake booster. So go ahead and take that apart. Don't cut it though, because we'll be using the 3.0 brake booster. We just need to cut it so that it goes into a different shape. Woo, it's getting hot in this garage. Yeah, so brake booster hose comes out, guys. There's also a 10 mil that goes right over here on the wall that holds it. That comes out. This piece also comes out. So we'll take that off for now. Take off this piece over here. All of that comes out. All of these vacuum hoses, they all come out, guys. All of this stuff here. They got some kind of electrical stuff going on too. So it looks like they wired up something, which we don't need. This is the heater hose. Cut this off. We don't need that anymore. And then the one that goes over here, cut that off. We'll take off the rest of it later, but just to get it, the engine detached from it, we can do this for now. Let me see here. .3, baby. No turning back. No turning back. Oh, we'll get that later. Oh, we got some coolant coming out. Might want to keep that metal. This is a metal piece. Okay, we got coolant out. Alright, next thing we'll go ahead and take off this throttle body. Throttle wire. You do want to keep the throttle wire, guys. Throttle wire stays, so don't damage it. Yeah, 3.0 throttle wire, you'll be reusing that. So don't mess that up. Just take it apart. And what I like to do is I like to put it behind the wipers, the windshield wipers, so it gets out of the way. Just like that from everyone. Okay, we got that. You have your ground wire from the intake to the back of the chassis. You can just unplug it for now. Unplug it. We're gonna put a new one anyways. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the passenger side. That, check. All of this right here is gonna get dumped. I'm gonna cut these heater hose off more, just so that it's more out of the way here. Trash. Trash. Okay, so that's good. We'll undo the engine mounts later. So let's go ahead and move to the passenger side. The passenger side has more stuff. I'll show you guys what we unhook, and then we'll go ahead and remove. Let's go ahead and remove the radiator first, actually, because the radiator and the fan shroud takes us a little bit of time. So to take the fan shroud off, you take the fan off first, and then we'll get to it. At 12 millimeter. Take the fan off of the fan thingy there. You do it any way you like, guys. Just no, if you're doing a 3/4 swap like what I'm doing, there's no really particular way. Just get things out of there. You will reuse the 3.0 fan, but this one here is damaged, so I'm not gonna use this one anymore. But I'll show you guys this one. This is the 94 fan, so this isn't the circular fan. This is the nice fan, but this one has a little damage on the blade, so I'm not gonna reuse it. The fan shroud still looks pretty good, so we'll try to salvage that. I'm not really a big fan of using fan shroud, but if this fan shroud is still good, I'll go ahead and try to reuse it. These belts looks pretty good. So the fan shroud is 10 mil. This is my other ratchet that I like to have. So 10 millimeter. Turn down the heat. Two 10 mils on each side. So the fan and the fan shroud, they have to come out at the same time to make it a little bit more easier. That's just the way they are. So now you can pop the fan, and then you can pop it out like this. So that's the fan right there. You see how that blade right there is broken. So I won't be reusing this. The fan shroud is still in really good shape, so we'll go ahead and try to save this. But go ahead and put these aside. Next thing we want to do is remove this fan, this radiator. I just need to remove the bottom hose, and then we'll be able to remove it. If yours is automatic, you're gonna have your automatic transmission cooler line, so unplug that too. Okay, so let's get that hose out of here. That lower hose, you can cut it or take it off. I'm gonna just probably cut it, shoot. Yep. We don't really need it, so get a pan, put it below it. Cut the low radiator hose or remove it out of the way. Now we can go ahead and remove the radiator. Radiator sealed by 12 bolts, 4 bolts, 2 on each side, 12 millimeter. Woo! It is hot today. It is 68 degrees in the garage right now. That's a bit too hot. Let me go ahead and turn off my heater for a little bit. Alright, that's the last bolt for the radiator. Now you can just lift it up. There's still some coolant down below there coming out of the bottom radiator hose. It's stuck on the hose right now. We're gonna use a new radiator, so I don't really care too much about damaging this one. Alright, so this is a copper radiator. So I have like 4 or 5 of these and use one. We'll send that into the recycle place and get some money out of this. Let's make sure it's all nice and empty. Set that aside. Okay, so now we have the radiator out of the way. Definitely have more room. For the power steering lines, you want to remove them. Don't destroy the power steering lines. So remove them in the proper way. I'm gonna put the bolts that were holding the radiator back where they belong, the 12 millimeters, just so we don't lose them in the future. Okay, for the passenger side, you have the negative wire that goes from the battery to the chassis here. Take that out. Put that bolt back in there just for the heck of it. Not gonna use it in the future, but you have one hot wire coming out of the fuse box. That's your 80 amp. We don't need that anymore because we got to build a new one, so cut that part. Battery piece, this goes on the other side. And then we have a bunch of hose right here. All of these hose are gonna get deleted. We don't need them anymore. So we have a bunch of the vacuum hose, fuel regulator. All of these hose right here, they're gonna get deleted. Charcoal canister get deleted. The ADD electrical stuff over here, they all get deleted. So just delete all these hose except for your windshield wiper. So you can just start unplugging them. Unplug it. And like I said, these vacuum hose, they're generic for most of these 90s trucks. So you want to keep them for backup for spares or whatever the case may be. So just cut them up. Some of it you can cut like these guys. This big one here was the booster line. So keep this one here, brake booster, and use that in the future. I'll show y'all. All the vacuum lines. Charcoal canister, cut that apart. Don't need that anymore. All of that gets delete. And then all the plugs right here that goes into these regulator, they all get deleted too because it's coming out. So really, you can just delete as much as crap as possible. This is the fuel return line right here. So just be careful with that. This one here is gonna get a new one. This is your vapor line. Delete. And then the fuel line, you have to either undo it or you can just cut it because we're not gonna be reusing this fuel line. We use a 3.0 fuel line. So it's up to you. This is the fuel return line. We're gonna put a new one in there so we can just cut this one away. So let me get all these hoses out of the way. So all these hoses right here, keep them for backup. These two right here go to the power steering pump. Don't need that anymore. Cut that away, throw them away. Or keep them for backup, whatever you want to do. I have so much of them already, so I don't need it. Power steering, we don't use the power steering on the 3.0. We use the 3.4 power steering, so don't need it. want to delete them so I can make it easier. So let's go ahead and remove this canister box, 10 mil. That gets deleted. There's a vacuum line that goes to the bottom. Just pull it and it'll come out. This piece here, this gets deleted. We don't need them. This bracket over here, it gets deleted too, so take that apart. Don't need them. The bracket, you delete it and then you put the bolts back in so there's no holes in the wall. 12 mil. Just like that. That's the charcoal canister bracket. And like I say, plug these holes back up just for aesthetic looks. Don't cut your starter or your wiper motor here, guys. That's the wiper motor. Oh man, so fun. Okay, we still have our fuel line over here that we need to take off. We'll do that here shortly. I like to say that for last because I don't want to cut that and have fuel coming out yet. So on the 3.0, if you're doing a 3/4 harness, a 3/4 swap, right where the power steering is, this is your engine harness. Your engine harness is right here. You want to cut right here, and this section goes down to your transmission, all your speed sensors and stuff like that. So cut it right here, and then from this harness to the tranny to the ECU, this section is what you want to keep for your 3/4 harness. Everything else that's on the engine, it gets trashed. Hopes that makes sense. All right, so let's go ahead and remove these plugs here. All these are just 90s technologies. Those plugs, they're pretty, I think they're valuable still. You can probably sell it or do something with them. I want to show you guys these right here first. So you have this thing here. These you don't need anymore. But again, it might be valuable, so you might want to hold on to them. Actually, this is the hose for the ADD system. Don't need that. We'll go ahead and pull that off later from the bottom end. And then there's the ADD on the corner here. All this gets deleted. You have one bolt right here. So like I said, this might be valuable for somebody that's still running their ADD system. Go ahead and unplug it. So this right here, don't need that. This is my windshield wiper. I gotta make sure I don't destroy that. Those plugs just get hidden, and then that's pretty much it right here. This is the fuel return line. We save that for later. Now you just pull this harness off the firewall. Oh, move this diagnostic box right here too. This diagnostic box just kind of come out like that. Yeah, just pop this box out, and then we'll go ahead and cut this harness. So this is the final moment. There's no turning back from here on. Once we cut this harness, we are done with this 3.0 unless we find another harness. You can use a Sawzall or a little nice wire cutter like what I'm using. There you go. So now we just need to go unplug the ECU, drag it out this way, and then also go unplug the rest of the stuff that's on the bottom down there. So now we just need to do the power steering line. We just need to unbolt the power steering line, unbolt the tranny, and then unbolt the engine mounts, and then we're pretty much ready to pull this engine out. All right, there it is, guys. Almost done. And then there's the clutch line. The clutch line has a metal bracket that goes into the head right here on the passenger side. It's a 14 mil, I believe. So go ahead and undo that real quick, because if you don't undo it, it's gonna try to pull this clutch line out. So let me do that real quick, and then we'll get back to it. I don't have to show you guys how to do that. If you guys got this far, there's two 14 mil that's holding that clutch bracket line to the side of the passenger head. I just removed it, and now you can see it's off right here. See that? So make sure you do that. Or in the past, what I've done is I just take my Sawzall and I cut it right here, because they toy only swap. They have a little nice bracket that they make. So what we need to do is just cut the fuel line. This is the fuel line. You can cut it or you can unbolt it. I'm just gonna cut it, and then later on when I have more room, I'll just unbolt it later, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to. And then also go ahead and undo the power steering line. You got the big bolt. I believe this is a 22 or 24, and then you have the end line and then the out line. So just take it off. That's pretty easy. You guys don't need to see me do it. You want to make sure you keep this bolt for the power steering and also the washer, because you will reuse those to bolt the line back into the 3/4 pump. You don't want to use the 3/4 pump bolts, because that bolt is too long, I believe. So keep this bolt here, guys, and make sure you know it's a 3/0. I'm gonna go ahead and do these off camera, and then we'll get to unbolting the engine, unbolting the rest of the harness down by the engine and the transmission, stuff like that. And then we just need to do the bell housing bolts, and then this engine can be pulled right out. The banjo bolt is a 24 mil, and you want to get it really fast, just like that. Make sure you have something below it, because it's gonna spill fluid, obviously. And open it up and let it breathe out. So I like to just get this started, so that while I'm doing everything else, it has time to unleash its power. Why is my socket stuck? And like I said, don't lose those copper washers, because you will be reusing them. There's two, one on each side. Here, I'm just gonna go ahead and screw this back in with the line out. But my socket is stuck in there. Oh, it's not a 24, I think it's a 22. So that's why my bolt didn't want to come back out. But it's all good, that's what it looks like. We'll get it out here shortly. There's those copper washer. We'll just go ahead and set these aside. Like I said, keep them. We have the other line. The other line is just held by a flathead screw. Oh, be careful on that windshield. It's a brand new windshield. Undo this line here and pull it out. This is the return line. So it's not a pressure line, it's just a return line. And careful, it will come out. Fluid will come out as well. There you go. Alright, we got fluid everywhere, guys. Be careful. Okay, next up, guys, we have I'm gonna go ahead and crawl down and start unbuttoning this harness, so that we can get this harness out of the engine bay, so it's at least so that we have more room and it's safer. So crawl down. You have your reverse, your 4-wheel drive switch, and your speed sensor switch, unless you have a cable driven. So those are the main three switches you want to unbutton, and then you can yank this wire out. I just got done unplugging the wire from the transmission stuff. You had the speed sensor, reverse, 4x4, and then one wire that loops back to the driver's side, which is your O2 sensor. Go ahead and unplug that, and then you have to also unplug the trigger wire, because it's part of it. And then once you have that, that's what you'll get. O2, 4x4, speed sensor, and then this is your trigger wire. That's part of it. And you guys can see it's right there. And then go into your passenger kick panel. 3 bolts that holds the ECU. Unbolt the ECU. We do not use the 3.0 ECU anymore, so go ahead and sell it or do something to it. You'll have 3 plugs that go into the ECU. Unplug those, and then you have 2 plugs that goes into the body that plugs into the truck that's off of this harness. So once I pull it out, I'll show you. And just kind of work the ground net off. There you go. Might be easier to unplug the wiper motor. Unplug it and put that wire away so you don't damage it. That's all you have, guys. These are 2 body wires. These are what you need for your 3/4 swap. So my harness guy, John, he will be using all this. I don't know anything about harness, so don't talk to me. So unplug these 2 from the body, and then these 3 went to the ECU. So now this is what you need for your swap. So keep this in a safe place. All we have left is the fuel line, the engine mounts, and the the bell housing bolts, and then we can literally pull this engine out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the engine mounts. You can't really see them, or it's really hard to film, but they're right there. They're 14 mil. You have to use 2 14 mil wrenches. So just go ahead and get them out of there. I'm not gonna teach you any special ways of doing it. You might have to go from the sidewall. Actually, you will have to go from the sidewall from the passenger side. There's a little side window that you have to open up, and you can get access to it. So get those engine mounts off, and then after that, get those bell housing off. The bell housing bolts, the best way I can recommend you guys is you have to use swivel sockets and long extension to get the 2 top one, which are 17 mils on top of the bell housing. But once you get those out, it's pretty much ready to go. So I'm not gonna film any of that step because it's really hard to film. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Quick update, we're moving pretty fast here. I think we're about 2 hours into this engine removal process. I got the engine mounts off. I just need to crawl down one last time, do all the bell housing. You have 14 mils and 17 mils. Cut the exhaust right around the downpipe as close as high as you can. Cut the fuel line, and then we'll be able to push this truck out and lift up the engine. All of those stuff are under the truck, and it's really so I'm not gonna film any of it, but I'll film it. I'll come back to you guys once we start yanking this motor out, but it's pretty much almost out of here, guys. Like I said, bell housing bolts, 14 mil, 17 mils. Use the swivel sockets. You will thank me later. 14 mil, 17 mil. These are the swivel, and that's the only way you can really get to them. And also for the 17 that's all the way on the top on the driver, you need about almost a 3-foot extension. So just have extensions and you'll get it out of there, guys. Okay, everyone. Whoa, that was a lot of work. I got all the bell housing out. I was able to take out the 14 mil nuts on the crossover, so I didn't have to cut that, but that's all unbolted. Bell housing's unbolted. Bolts for the starters unbolted. Last thing we had to do is cut the fuel line, so let's go ahead and do the fuel line. After that, we'll get this 3.0 out of here. Always have some kind of cloth right next to you just in case it starts to spill, which most of the time it will. And you can cut it anywhere you want. There it goes. And this is why I do the gas last, just so that the garage doesn't smell like gas or stuff like that. I actually don't know how much fuel we have in the tank, but that's it right there. Let's go ahead and get this truck out of the garage and set up the engine hoist and go from there. I do have to, there's one hook right here, and then usually there's another hook on the driver's side. The driver's side doesn't have one, but I have some extra. Let me hook it up real quick, and then we'll go ahead and let this engine out here. Okay, so we have the engine hook right here, and then on the driver's side, usually there isn't one, but I was able to use one of my spare one. That one's actually off of the Land Cruiser, and put 14 mil bolt in there. Only one 14 mil is holding it, but usually that's strong enough. Like I say, we don't really care too much about it. If you don't have a spot for it, you can also put a hook down by the engine hoist, not the engine hoist, the engine bracket, and go from there. So let me show you what I use for my chain here. This is my chain right here that I always use. So usually one side has a hook and then one side has a loop, and it just works in different ways. So put it like that. Put it like that, and then we'll adjust this right here. And then this is where I put my engine hook on. So we'll set this towards the center. So that's usually how I'm gonna do it. So let me go ahead and rig this up real quick, and we'll get this engine out here, 3.0 out of here. I got the engine hoist all set up. It's just a matter of lifting this baby out of here and pulling it out. So let's go ahead and do this. Should be pretty easy. Engine is off of the frame. We just need to shake it a little bit to break the kissing of the fail housing. This is the inspection plate. Keep this. Pretty much out. There it is. She's out. Alright, that should be pretty good. It's a bit slippery tonight because it snowed about ½ inch. I don't know how much I trust that driver hook. Very slippery. Can't push it back. All right. So we got to get this engine back in the garage to take some stuff off. I also want to know what happened to this engine. Maybe the crank bearing went out or something, but who knows. Get in here, baby. 3.0's in the garage. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the hood back on the truck so the weather element doesn't get to it, and then we're also gonna go ahead and bring in that other 3.4 engine, the one that's going into the truck, and we're gonna refresh the engine. Once those are ready, we'll put them together. So if you guys are doing a 3.4 swap like what I'm doing, you want the banjo bolt for the power steering, you want the oil pressure gauge or sensor on the driver's side, you want the engine mounts, you need the oil pan and the oil pickup tube. So those are the things you need to pull off of this engine before you trash it or do whatever to it. So there we have it, guys. Removal of a 3.0, quick and easy. We'll have to open up this clutch and see how healthy it is. I went ahead and ordered a new ASIN clutch already. So this one looks like it's something. The disc right there says Japan. But yeah, we're gonna reuse the flywheel, and then it still has oil in there, so we'll go ahead and drain the oil and stuff. On that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys find it informative, entertaining, or whatever the case may be. But that's how you remove a 3.0, the 3.0 dirty way of doing it. My engine hoist is a 2-ton, and then I went ahead and also modified my engine hook. Instead of a regular hook, this is a swivel hook, so it allows me to spin this engine freely if I want to spin it like that and work on it. Also makes it more easier to install. When I install it, I can level it and make sure it's level and not like facing weird. So that's it right there, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys on the next video.